And the New York City socialist is not the only far-left zealot having trouble attracting a crowd. Look at your screen. Thanks to the reporting from the Washington Examiner. Look at that. We now know that Robert Francis Beto O'Rourke, well, he spoke to maybe a third of a full room there. Now, let's just compare that to one Trump rally. And during his lackluster remarks, Bozo O'Rourke attacked the Prime Minister of America's top ally. In fact, the unemployed former congressman from Texas actually called one of the single greatest leaders of our time, a Churchillian figure that has led with moral clarity until Donald Trump on his own against the threat of radical Islamists like after 9/11. Prime Minister Netanyahu calling him a racist. Watch this.
The U.S.-Israel relationship is one of the most important relationships that we have on the planet. And that relationship, if it is to be successful, must transcend partisanship in the United States, and it must be able to transcend a prime minister who is racist, as he warns about Arabs coming to the polls, who wants to defy any prospect for peace as he threatens to annex the West Bank, and who has sided with a far-right racist party in order to maintain his hold on power. Now, I don't think that Benjamin Netanyahu represents the true will of the Israeli people or the best interests of the U.S.-Israel relationship or any path to peace for the people of the Palestinian Authority.
By the way, as we speak, Israel is now in the middle of a very, very important vote. And if you know people in Israel, if you want the moral clarity, the great relationship that has been built, frankly, stronger than ever between Israel and the United States, now would be the time to tell your friends to vote Likud. A lot of other right-wing parties, but that will drag away from Likud, which would mean that Prime Minister Netanyahu would get the opportunity to form the next government, which is imperative. Think of moving Jerusalem, the capital of Israel, from Tel Aviv. Think of the Golan Heights and the declaration of Donald Trump. Now, you listen to people like Bozo O'Rourke, he doesn't know anything about history. O'Rourke calls for the border walls to be torn down. The United States actually could learn from the highly effective walls constructed in Israel. They work under Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu's leadership. Faiths can freely practice their religion, freely and openly. And for years, as I said, he was the only leader on the world stage who had the courage to stand up to radical Islamists, the mullahs of Iran, who are actively funding, coordinating, fighting proxy wars and funding terrorism all over the world. And it's been his steady leadership that has made Israel, literally, and the world a safer place. That's why the vote in Israel now is so important. That leadership began at an early age for the Prime Minister. 50 years ago, Bibi Netanyahu was a member of the elite Special Forces unit in Israel. He was wounded in battle on multiple occasions. He got shot in the shoulder during the rescue operation aboard a hijacked plane. And, of course, he lost his brother in the raid in Entebbe. Now, meanwhile, Bozo O'Rourke, he spent his years as a computer hacker with the nickname Psychedelic Warlord. 1998, drunkenly hit and almost killed someone with his car and then fled the scene of an accident. And Robert Francis's greatest professional accomplishment, oh yeah, losing badly to Ted Cruz in last year's Senate race in spite of nearly $100 million that he spent in that race. Robert Francis represents all that is wrong with the modern Democratic Socialist Extreme Party and, of course, their friends in the rage Trump media mob. He can call our greatest ally a racist, and the media yawns. Would the same be true for candidate or President Trump or any other Republican? This double standard is not new. Look at the example I mentioned earlier.